All right. So now I'm live in a multitude of places. Let's get going. Let's do produce a workbench. Let's sign in. I'm gonna show y'all Facebook, my computer screen. So here goes my computer screen. So Facebook and Instagram. Liddell, what's going on, big brother? Class is in session. I don't know if you saw my video about 412E3s or collateral assignments, etc. So FBA TNT, what's going on, brother? T, what's going on, sister? Make sure y'all hit that like, hit the heart me, all that good stuff. Like my lady friend who's an accountant was saying, she's blocking folks. If we're gonna be in here, listen, we put in a lot of work to learn this stuff. Salute to my folks on the YouTube. We're gonna get to sharing here in a second. Thank you for hitting the likes, good brother. See, this is what I'm talking about. He's supporting another FBA brother. So I'm talking today about the life insurance world because unfortunately we sit up on these panels all too often. We talk a bunch of nonsense, and it's useless nonsense that can't help us. Yesterday, I was doing a live stream. I was talking to a TPA, third party administrator, about 401k audits. That means the business owner gets audited by the IRS. I then asked that TPA about things like annuities being allowed in 401ks. That's an investment option. But then someone came in here to tell me about how the judge stepped down on Carmelo Anthony's case. Okay, that's cool, but what does that have to do with anything? Because guess what? We can't do anything about that. Jason, what's going on, brother? Jason was here. I'm gonna invite Jason up so he can back me up with this. Philip Mills, how are you, good brother? Oh my God, we have not spoken in a while. I haven't seen you in a while. Glad to see that you're here. Luckily, you're not one of those fin services, financial services, civil war folks that we have the nonsense going on. Your goal is to educate the general public. Jason, his goal is to educate the general public. My goal is to educate the general public. Yes, am I bliggity black and pro black and want to help the black community? Absolutely. But guess what? I like everybody's money. Studying has me crazy busy. And Jason, before you do it, hold on, because I know you're gonna ask me right now. So before you ask me, I'm gonna pull it out. So we got the manual here. Okay.
Bro, you've had the book for like a couple years.
This is the second one I bought.
When's the test date?
I didn't sign up yet, but I'm gonna do it.
Come on, bro.
He said you had the book.
So we said last month.
That is. See, even Philip said, man, get it done. And I know I can't BS you because you're a Marine, so there's no stop in your book. I know you're gonna be like, hey, bro, we don't stop until the job is done. He said, sign up and force yourself to study. That's true.
I heard Philip is looking to get a new associate, bro.
Oh, snap. Okay.
He said yesterday on his live. I'm just saying.
Well, you know what? I actually just got a new recruit yesterday. Off of being outside just yelling at some kids. Well, not yelling, but there's these dudes who live near me who are in their 20s. So I was just like, yo, listen, you got a job and you just had a daughter. You're 22. You had your daughter 2 years ago at the age of 20. Number one, you need some life insurance. Get a term life insurance policy if you don't have a lot of money right now. God forbid something happens, you need to leave that little girl a bunch of money. I said, I got a guy who's 35 who's paying $350 a month for a $5 million policy. Term, yes, but it's a 30-year term. $5 million. If he pays $350 a month for 10 years, that's still not $1 million, let alone $5 million. Right? So I told him that and get the 401k. The young lady was out eating lunch, asked to sit by the table as I was reading him some articles and stuff. We started talking, and here's what's funny. She told me her name. We gathered information. I was like, why does that name sound familiar? Long story short, she is my sister's one of my sister's best friends. Is it not a small world?
Crazy how it comes back around, ain't it?
Insane. So today I want to, Liddell, how are you? I want to talk medium level, right? And I was explaining to people the live we were on yesterday how she was like, listen, start blocking people, you know. Obviously, y'all folks that I'm familiar with, y'all come here. Obviously, there's different value in there. But she was like, listen, if people aren't gonna be engaging and you're giving this quality information, block them because they're wasting your time and your energy and their own time. So any topics that you want to touch at all?
No, I don't have anything, but I just heard John Beverly say the same thing about blocking people, bro. Like I was on his live 2 minutes ago. He said the same thing.
Yeah. He's like, listen, I'm not dealing with people just coming in. Yeah, I get it. It shouldn't be all business all the time. Sometimes you want some escapism. It's cool to have fun. But if we're on these panels talking about mating, dating, and relationships and how men can't go 50-50 and you want a six-figure man, well, a six-figure man, just like InvestFest, is going to go to something that is going to teach him how to get to that six figures. So I want to talk about, you know what, I'm not gonna do this. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to talk about the budgeting. So one of the things that I mentioned in another live was how after 6 dates, you should consider going to a financial advisor. This live, these people called me, oh, you're so goofy. That's so stupid. Why would I budget for a date and blah, 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 blah. Right? And I was like, well, the women are asking you to take them. Don't take me to Cheesecake Factory. That's cheap. Or, I need to go to STK or Capitol Grill or Peter Luger's or whatever, which is hundreds of dollars. But if you don't have that in your budget, how are you going to have these hundreds of dollars? So let's flip this screen around. Can you hear the music, by the way?
I can,
Is it too loud or should I?
No, that's good. What are you playing on? Speaker outside?
Yeah, I'm playing on my computer speakers.
No, that's good.
Okay. So let's look at this. This is something called a budget guard, right? Let me share this with my YouTube audience as well. Hold on. So I'm streaming in 3 different places right now. I'm streaming on Facebook Live, I'm streaming on TikTok, and I'm streaming on YouTube. So give me a second here. Screen. So, in your opinion, right? Now I know you're married, so this doesn't exactly apply to you. But would you have appreciated if someone told you to go see a financial advisor to get a budget together when you're dating, right? Now, yes, not the first date, but would you say 6 dates in is safe to say that you're likely taking this person seriously? People were like, oh, well, we could go on 6 dates in 1 week. I could go on 6, Well, if you're spending that much time with a person, because let me ask you something, Jason. If you go to a burger joint, right, and the burger is disgusting, are you going back 5 more times?
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you're going back 5 more times, it would be safe to say that you actually like the burger joint, right?
Yeah, it's safe.
Okay. So when dating a person, if you're going on 6 dates with a person, it'd be safe to assume you're likely going to be considering them for a serious relationship. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that 6 days, but I think I tied to like a milestone, moving in together or getting engaged.
So here's why I'd say before that, right? Because if we know that a lot of marriages end up in failure because they don't talk about finances. So when we look at this is a budget card. It goes over your fixed and your variable expenses, right? So if we look at the variable expenses, what's that say there that I just highlighted? Entertainment. So would you agree that casual dating is a form of entertainment? Hedge Wolf, what's up, brother? Let me let him on up. Hold on. How do I let him on up? Here we go.
I want to his answer to casual dating.
Oh, I'm casually dating now.
Now, so your average American who's not in the financial world like we are, or not familiar with the financial world, would you say that by 6 dates you're likely taking that person seriously?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. So would you say it might be a good idea by, 6, 7, 8, maybe the 10th date to go over your budgets together, right? To see where you're really at?
Yeah, I've already gone over it with the girl I'm seeing, and we've only dated twice.
Oh my
We've been
God.
talking for a month.
So he's already done this with the girl he's seeing, and they've only dated
Yeah,
twice.
I gotta screen it, man. I gotta make sure she ain't freaking in debt.
Right? So do you know how many people fought me tooth and nail saying that I'm idiotic for recommending that after the 6th date you go see an advisor to just get a simple budget guard? Yeah, you're probably going to have to pay some money, right?
Listen, let me tell you why.
Uh-huh.
Because people want to play with a closed hand because they don't want to open up and show that they freaking it's like all of it they put out.
Absolutely. Another person I mentioned this to, he says the overwhelming rejection of it is the fact that there's less commas than they would like, right?
That's what I'm saying. Fuck yeah. Like
So
I told my girl that I said, look, I pay myself $9,000 a month, and that's what I pay myself. Now I still get a little disability and a little something else, but that's it. That's my budgeting money.
so you would say that it's safe to say it's a budget to go over. Like he said, he went on the 2nd date. Now, are you worried if she's a gold digger and you shouldn't show her this because she could be a gold digger when she sees your numbers? I'm Miss Jones on Facebook.
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay. So you prefer to know, and if she is a gold digger, oh, go ahead.
Just because I show it doesn't mean that she gets access to all of it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
She just now I didn't go through an actual line by line budget. Let me correct myself. I just gave her the overview.
Understood. But now, if you guys are going further and you're taking her serious, and maybe you're considering serious long-term relationship, maybe then you consider going line by line, and she can expose her hand as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to be renting a hotel every other week to go see her.
Okay. And you're budgeting for that, right? So we would say that casual dating is a form of entertainment. Let me make this a little larger here. So
yeah, it's going to be entertainment and dining out.
Right. So things like your
Or
TV,
vacation, if you will.
dining out, vacation travel, hobbies, right? I know we hear this on these arguments all the time. Oh, who's going to pay for the babysitter? Well, there should be a budget for that, right? What's going on, Clark?
Yeah, that's why I'm doing it every other week, because I have my son every other week. So when I don't have my son, then I can go visit.
Okay. So it sounds to me like Ms. Jones says on Facebook, I'm a gold digger. Listen, that's all right, but that means that you would go through something like this to know if there's gold to dig, because as Michael the Hedge Wolf said, many people want to play with a closed hand because if they open it, they expose the fact that they ain't got it. Wow.
She did. She sent me that this morning. She's in the sauna.
Nice.
Beautiful Colombian.
Nice.
She's American, buddy. Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Like them brown.
There you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is just a simple template that you can go. And yeah, like I said, maybe not after, obviously not after the 1st date, maybe not the 2nd date, but 6, 7, 8 dates in, you should be going this. I don't think he's traveling every other week to Colombia. And if so, let me know. I got a buddy who owns a hotel in Medellin.
No, it's Charlotte.
Oh, okay.
It's only like 2 hours from me.
Wow. You know, I got shot in Winston, Salem.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I go through there quite often, but I don't try to antagonize anyone. I remember you saying you were kind of in the streets at the time.
Yeah, I was doing dumb shit that I had no business doing. But I'm almost glad that it happened because it pushed me into this field. And so, yes, I talk a lot about life insurance. That's one of my favorite topics. So I was mentioning yesterday, Hedged, I went live. Let me see if I can pull my YouTube up and show you guys. So I went live, and I was with a TPA, right?
Third party administrator?
Yes. Let's see if I can find that video.
By the way, I'm not going to say any names, but one of my TikTok friends has taken my strategy and completely just destroyed it.
Really?
They went 4.3x.
See, that's an issue.
And I'm like, dude, you can't just have a 10% downturn. Like that.
And it's a story, in this bank.
Absolutely not.
But hey, it's
A way for you to
it's their choice.
Right.
1.9 leverage stuff. That's all I'm doing.
Listen, your strategy is amazing. I told you that I have a friend who is a member of the board of directors of the OCC, correct?
Yeah.
And another buddy of mine sent me a pitch deck, and so I sent it his way, and I was like, "Hey, can you take a look at this?" And so here's what's funny. Yesterday, I was looking at this, right? So you see it says 401k plan audits protecting your clients, right? And again, this was from the TSP. Sorry, the TPA.
Yeah.
And people were coming in busy telling me about the doggone Carmelo Anthony judge or something. And I was like, bro, what the hell does that have to do with your 401k? Right? Other than nothing. So I
better
basically I ran
understand
this.
the retirement
turn it up a
plan,
little bit.
and really from an important component of it, which is the
And so I just want to get to the Q&A because at the Q&A, you know who was the only one asking questions? Was me. Now, there were a bunch of other advisors here who weren't asking
There are
questions.
absolutely solutions out there. A lot of times advisors will sit there and say, well, yeah, I do the 401k plan with the payroll company because they do all the deposits and everything.
Look at to be able to explain that to potential clients.
Whenever I talked about a 401k, I never actually had one, but I would always hire a company to do the TPA for us, and make sure that they were all ERISA standards and all that compliant, whatever the word is.
Yeah, well, that's why we use the TPA, bro. He literally in there, he was like, you guys want to do the selling. So go do the selling and let us do the administrating, right? So there's me, right? Alonzo Hall, right? This is I live stream this to my YouTube, right? Behind the scenes.
Because usually a good advisor will probably get 25 basis points to 50 basis points max off of a 401k asset, which is still good.
But still, to do all that admin work is crazy. So you let the TPA do it and you get bigger accounts.
Oh, for sure. I meant after you pay a TPA, you
yeah.
You work it into the deal. The way you structure the actual funds that the participants are paying for the TPA,
right? And so here's what they were talking about. Hey, the Carmelo Anthony case, the judge stepped down. I was like, cool. What does that have to do with your 401k? And so I went into the 412E3 and I was explaining a bunch of stuff about that. But watch this really quick. So
client can get the reports. They can get online. The participants have a really good experience related to the retirement plan, not just from an audit perspective, but from a plan operational perspective too. The client has a business to run. I love retirement plans, but I also understand that's probably 1% of their life and their business. is the retirement plan, and they don't want to be sitting there having to deal with distributions or going on a website or problem with a contribution. You want to have a good, solid record keeper you're working with, and a good, solid TPA that can help them
So annuities
when they have those
now been
questions.
part
If we have
of-
a client that has a question with the Emeritus deposit system, call us. We'll do a Zoom demo with you. Don't assume you have to get on the phone and call somebody and sit on the phone for 2 hours. We are there to help with regard to that stuff. And number 3, use a record keeper. I've said it a bunch of times during this call. Record keepers are very important if you have plans
That's my,
that have
memo
employees.
to myself.
They
It's
provide
kind
the
of a
fee
big deal.
disclosures. They provide the QDIA, Qualified Default Investment Alternative Notices. A lot of times I've seen brokerage accounts, advisors that are old school keep parking money for employees in cash when
Yes.
Department of Labor wants them to be in a qualified default investment alternative, which
I
record
don't
keepers
know.
take care of all that stuff. You guys want to go out and sell business. You don't want to have to deal with administrative stuff.
Didn't I tell you? He literally was like, "You guys want to go out and sell. You don't want to deal with administrative stuff." Let me just check my YouTube, make sure nobody's over here. Okay. So let's go back, and we'll keep going because
Okay.
when it came
That's
to
why
Q&A,
we're here.
I was the
is
only
so
one
you
to
can
ask
say, hey,
questions.
Mark, hey, Dom, we got this plan. We
And
want
that's
to
why
talk
I'm good
to
at
you.
what I do.
You know, can you get on a
Moffitt,
Zoom with
what's
them?
up?
We set up the meeting.
Moffitt, I am doing a podcast today on my not today, Wednesday on my Facebook with some brothers from my town. It's called the Secure the Bag podcast. What I did was I walked around and I would exclaim that I was a hater of theirs. Obviously, I love these brothers. I grew up with them, went to high school with them, middle school. You know, I know them in real life. But what I would do is I would always hate on them and be like, "Oh, these guys aren't shit." Da 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 da. And more people would go watch them. And so finally, I was such a hater that they were like, "You know what? Instead of approaching me like Earn Your Leisure did to my buddy JT the Pocket Watcher. If anybody knows JT the Pocket Watcher from YouTube, the Earn Your Leisure guys actually ran up on him in California to approach him for speaking quote unquote negative about him. So what these guys did was instead of running up on me and checking me, they said, "Okay, since you want to hate, come on the show." Right? So now I can't hide my hand if I'm going to be a hater. Well, if you're going to be a hater, come on the show with us, be live with us, and tell us why you hate us. Right? So now that this exactly, I hate them because I ain't them. Right? And no, I got a bunch of love for those brothers, man. Follow, and they're on YouTube as well. Secure the Bag podcast. They're hyper local in the Connecticut area. And you know, that's where I'm born and raised, New Haven. So, you know, I want to support them brothers as much as I can. So I run around in a
question for you.
yes, sir.
What are the odds that Michael Clark has ever dated a brown woman?
I don't know. I don't know that those are his preferences. Michael Clark, let us know.
I didn't know they were my preferences until I realized that they are my preferences for sure. You know, it brings me back. See, I think he's in California. See, I was in California when I was 18 in the military, and I dated a Filipino chick. Oh my God. She was wonderful. I'm glad I didn't marry her because, you know, they were quick to marry back then. But
Right.
now I'm getting back to my roots.
There you go, brother. So the conversation I had with my buddy from the OCC about cash value life insurance was insane. And the things he was saying, I was like, wow, and you're part of the OCC? He was like, yeah, but we don't learn enough about life insurance. He actually uses the infinite banking concept through life insurance. Now, obviously, he has other stuff.
Let me tell you something, bro.
Yes.
Let me tell you something, bro. I feel like you were one of the few who actually presented correctly. I was watching a TikTok just to kind of let you know what's out there. Man, this fella was very intelligent, very salesy, but very, you know, seemed very polished.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember the name of like the guy that he was underneath, but somebody who wrote a book on this kind of concept. I think he called it. It was like MPI or something, like maximum premium invested. I don't know exactly.
Okay.
But
Ray Clark.
okay, so and And what he did was he was suggesting that once you get to a level where you can borrow against your IUL, that you borrow against it and then use that money to put right back into the IUL. And I was like, dude, that's not going to work. He's like, well, you can't lose to market risk. I'm like, yeah, but you can to the loan as well as to the actual internal fees. And I said, the spread isn't high enough to be able to service that, bro. Like the math don't fucking work. If you're gonna borrow against your IUL, you need to invest outside of that if you're gonna invest it at all.
Yeah. So I call it an opportunity fund. I'm going through my book of business here really quick. Give me one second.
That makes more sense. Like if you take a loan out and then you go and buy a property, fine. It's not tied up to your like leveraging your same IUL. If you have a few bad years in the S&P 500, yes, you wait. You that's it, Curtis Ray. Yes, you may not see any loss in your market value, but getting zero credit plus you're paying 5 to 6% interest on your loaned amount,
right?
It's going to eat into your actual value, and it's going to blow up. It's a mathematical certainty.
So if we look here, for example, this is a decent one. So if you'll notice, right, the interest rate is 3.5%, but the new money credited rate is 4.3%. So that's likely why he was saying that. Because you would take the money out of the 3.5% loan and then put it back in at 4.3. Right.
No, he was saying put it back into the S&P point to point with a 10% cap.
Right. Yeah. So depending on what you're allocating it to, the new money in is still going to come that way. But I wouldn't just recycle it in the policy. I'd use it as an actual opportunity fund. And like you said, go buy real estate, go buy something worth buying. Right. So that's why I call it an opportunity fund. Oh, he was talking about premium finance.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, premium finance is a whole different story. First of all, you have to have a certain network.
Return in fucking commissions. Because if you take money out on a loan and then you put it right back into an IUL, that generates a whole new commission.
It's not an NFYC.
Premium.
So no. You do get like 2% of anything above the target. But it's not going to be it's not going to be like the 50 to 90% that you get paid on NFYC, which is net first year commission. So anything based on,
I get that.
Yeah. So, if they put it
exponentially increasing the risk.
Yeah.
That's what I hated about it.
Premium finances, Prudential is really good with premium finance, but you got to have a net worth of generally 10 million or more before you're doing premium finance. Some companies will only have $1 million net worth requirement to do premium finance. Then you've got to find the lender who's willing to do premium finance. There's a lot with premium. Now, I personally have never written a premium finance case, right? So I don't have a full grasp of it because that's one of the things that I've not done, right? So, hey, I don't know everything.
Well, if you come across one, I'd like to look it over with you because I'm always looking for what's the downside.
Absolutely, brother. Right. And the beauty that I love about you is that you don't there's no ego. Like you're just here to teach. Like you taught us the strategy, right? You're like, hey, fucking go do it. I don't need any money for it. I'm good. Just learn this shit. Right?
I'm telling you, if you get to the point where you can set one up, doing a 1.2 to 1.5x leverage on a portfolio margin account is very safe, especially if you invest with income producing securities that auto pay the loan.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter in an up, down, sideways market. You're still slowly building equity. It's not magic. It's just slow, but it gives you a slightly higher rate of return over time, and that's what matters.
Absolutely. So watch this though. Now remember the idea. You see how Hedge is asking questions because he's not all the way familiar with it. He has some understanding. So he's asking clarifying questions, right? Some of which I don't know the exact answer to because, again, I haven't done premium financing. So I don't know it like the Contra Code, like I know, collateral assignments or 412E3s, et cetera, et cetera.
Meeting, we do the call, we go over the plan design, things like that. And then you guys can go in there and sell other things like, life insurance, things like that, other things to the owners of the company and stuff. And we're dealing with the administrative stuff. I hear it a million times from advisors. They don't want to deal with that stuff. And that's why some advisors don't want to do 401k plans. That's why we're here, is to help with that stuff. Okay. Yeah, I got a couple minutes, so I was going to open things to any questions anybody has related to audits or anything retirement plan related. I've tried to get everybody's information. I reached out to everybody. I think on LinkedIn, so you have my contact information. You have a little bit more in a bio of our company and stuff like that. But anything you guys have questions with, you can fire them out.
Thanks,
Yeah, he
Mark.
spoke about-
while I'm waiting.
He spoke about IRMA, ERISA, and the Form 5500. That's one of the main things he was talking about the recap. I mean, this is the end of the presentation. It was a 45-minute presentation. So I'm just going to the end where you guys see that I ask questions. And the reason I'm doing this is because there are so many people who come up here. Jason, don't get mad. I'm going to talk shit about your carrier or your company with 3-letter IMOs. Who and you're like Pedro, you're like, I don't give a shit, talk shit about him. You're not talking shit about me. Right? He said, I don't do that. I don't operate like a lot of those guys. Are there guys out there operating like that? Absolutely. Just like there's guys out here selling the IUL. Absolutely wrong. Right? Now, a colleague of mine, Deontay, also says that some of the onus does have to be on the client, because sometimes they hear something and then they decide that they want to do something, and when what they've set up with you is not going to do what they said they want to do, or they're not following exactly what they said they want to do or the time frame. So let's watch as they ask again. If we got some time for Q&A.
That stuff. You guys want to go out and sell business. You don't want to have to deal with administrative stuff. Okay. That's why we're here, is so you can say, hey, Mark, hey, Dom, we got this plan we want to talk to. You know, can you get on a Zoom with them? We set up the meeting, we do the call, we go over the plan design, things like that. And then you guys can go in there and sell other things like, you know, life insurance, things like that, other things to the owners of the company and stuff. And we're dealing with the administrative stuff. I hear it a million times from advisors. They don't want to deal with that stuff. And that's why some advisors don't want to do 401k plans. That's why we're here, is to help with that stuff. Okay. Yeah, I got a couple minutes, so I was going to open things to any questions anybody has related to audits or anything retirement plan related. I've
The CPA people
tried to
here.
get everybody's information. I reached out to everybody, I think on LinkedIn, so you have my contact information. You have a little bit more in a bio of our company and stuff like that. But anything you guys have questions with, you can fire them out.
Thanks, Mark. While I'm waiting for people to think about questions or anything like that, I mean, I think this is a perfect example of the value of TPA right here. You're never in a million years going to get someone as knowledgeable on this type of information and how complex it is than someone like Mark, who does this morning, noon, and night. So I definitely encourage you to connect with him. And Alonzo, it looks like you have a question, so let me unmute you real quick here.
Yeah, how's it going? In regards to, I guess I can lower my hand now. In regards to all of this, the new, I guess, thing that's happening with annuities being able to be added or implemented into 401ks. Can you kind of speak to us a little bit about that? And then number two, how would that affect, I guess the record keeper would probably be the best thing there, but how would that affect audits? And obviously, you know, our role, like you said, as the advisor or the agent, is really to just get out there and sell business. Is there like a resource of information that we can have, or like a bullet point sheet that we can kind of look at to be able to explain that to potential clients?
So when you're saying an annuity, are you saying an annuity inside of Emeritus or something outside of the Emeritus record keeper from that perspective?
Well, preferentially both, but I guess in this situation, the Emeritus product.
I mean, from my perspective as a TPA, as long as it's registered to the plan under the plan tax ID number, it's valid to be used as a plan asset. We have some clients that will have an account with Emeritus, like their business, and then Emeritus has a brokerage option that you can use. Is it Dom, is it TD Ameritrade you guys use for the?
Yeah, I think it's TD Ameritrade, and we might have one other option. Anna, do you know? I think we have one other one too. Do you know off the top of your head?
I do not know off the top of my head. I'd have to look.
It's something I don't encounter a lot here, but Mark, you can chime in on that too.
So you could, the annuity stuff you can definitely do. I mean, we're seeing it more and more. The only thing is, obviously annuity might have surrender charges, things like that. You just need to be careful. And sometimes, because I'm dealing with this on another plan, you want to check at the back end of the annuity contract that when you want to move it, that person retires or they leave the company, what's going to happen? How does that money get transferred? Because a lot of times people want to do like in-kind distributions or in-kind see.
No.
Undercharge, so the money's got to be there enough. So that's the only thing. I can definitely do it in the plan, not a problem. I would definitely say to let me check it out if you want to put it in there. But I would say from my experience, always check at the back end of the contract and see what happens when that contract needs to be either transferred or cashed in.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
Partially, yes. I guess part of it is, and I think you kind of opened a little more for me in terms of because generally, like you said, the annuity is specifically with the individual. So I'm wondering how would an annuity be implemented across? Like, would it be something that there's a requirement of participation for the group, etc., or is it like Bob can have an annuity in his 401k, but John doesn't?
Well, it would have to be offered to all the employees in the plan, but it's not like life insurance where it's required if you're going to, write a policy for somebody and stuff. So the rule of thumb in retirement plans is if you're going to offer a benefit to one employee, it's got to be offered to everybody on the investment side. You can't just say to the owner of the business, hey, we're going to set up and the employees. So normally what happens with Emeritus, for example, is you have an enrollment form or change of election form. It has all the funds listed on there if you're doing this with Emeritus. And if that annuity is available through Emeritus, they will have it on there. And then you'll select that. And then when the money is deposited into the plan, they'll allocate it to the different investments that way. Okay. If it was going to be something outside of Emeritus, that's a little bit trickier. And we might have to kind of check that out a little bit to see, what needs to be done compliance wise. So my thing is always try and keep it within the record keeper. If you want to do something outside of that, it's usually a case specific need to look at first before we decide we're going to go down that road.
And then I guess the next one, would the contribution limits still be the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank
Nothing
you.
changes with regard to the, and if you have life insurance in the plan, there's limits as to how much the policy can be versus contribution and things like that. But with an annuity,
What's up,
the
German?
limits are the limits. Nothing changes with regard to that.
Thank you.
Any other questions anyone had?
Well, these other advisors are not asking questions. And if they're not asking questions, go ahead, Jason.
Hey, sorry. For that, I mean, I know Emeritus does that for small businesses, right? Is it because it's through the employer that it's in the 24/5 limit?
Yeah, it's because it's in the 401k. So the 401k through the employer, that's the limit.
It's set by the
That's what I
IRS.
figured.
Yeah, it's set by theirs, the IRS.
But had say client went and just done it on his own, then it doesn't hit that same limit, right? For the annuity.
Right. If you do the annuity solo, there's not that same limit. But if you do the annuity through the plan, yes. German, a lot of people love Emeritus. Most money managers, Series 7 guys that I know that are independent, love Emeritus. Emeritus, Prudential, and Mass Mutual are loved. Except for Winslow. He feels that Mass Mutual is very limited, which... And when you look at things, I understand. Did you guys hear about the fucking RIA the money cap now for referrals from Schwab?
No.
So I think it was last year or 2 years ago, they changed the requirement as an independent RIA through the Schwab Advisor Network, SAN, that you could get referrals from 500,000 up. So then they raised it from 500,000 to you have to have in order to get a client referred, they got to be 2 million and up, so that they could keep, you know, anything under 2 million AUM or AUA, assets under administration, if you're doing, you know, large groups, in-house. And now they're raising it so if you're an independent advisory, you're only getting 5 million and above. But apparently they have a shit ton of 10 to 25 million dollar AUM and AUA clients that they're still passing out. So the big RIAs are cool, but small firms like mine, unfortunately, I don't have enough guys who are equipped yet, which is why Jason is going to keep snapping. Just fucking sign up and go study and force yourself to go take that 65 so you can get it, so you can come teach people and help the clients. So guys, go ahead.
It's been a trend in the industry to slowly squeeze as much out as possible, whether it's Wells Fargo changing their tiered system or, like you mentioned, Schwab.
Yeah.
Like, also, who was it? Not Morgan Stanley, but there was another one that also was squeezing people. So basically, anybody below 250,000, there's plenty of companies out there that won't even pay the advisor at all.
Yeah. And so then the advisor has no interest in helping an account under 250,000, 500,000. Now we're looking at nearly 5 million.
Correct. And that's what helps Edward Jones, because they can take smaller clients, but just saying, that's crazy.
You know, the thing I've heard about Edward Jones outside of the crazy stuff, like, I'm like, man, going to Edward Jones as a client must be like going to the fucking gulag. But apparently for advisors, they have really good training, I've heard. Is that the case, Hedge?
Yeah, they have very good training. And they do have a lot of good options for investments. They also have a subpar advisory platform, but it is what it is. Like, if you're an advisor like I was, who likes to like build your own, then you have access to low-cost ETFs to be able to build a pretty nice strategy and only charge, you know, the wrap fee or the AUM fee on top of it, which you don't have much control over.
Right, I understood. So this is the thing, though, ladies and gents. And I'm sorry, I went off because I just thought about the whole Schwab thing. But this is why now Hedge admits, because he has no ego. He said, yeah, I had the life license, but that's not what I specialized in. So I don't know, you know, a shit ton about it. But what does he do? He comes and he asks questions to people who seem like they have some kind of knowledge of this stuff. The reality is, however, especially with social media, there are a lot of people who talk and seem like they have some form of knowledge on this stuff, but they don't, right? It's pitiful if you ask so many of these cash value life insurance agents, which I'm a cash value life insurance agent. I'm product agnostic because I get a commission off of whatever product I sell you. But where is the money for you know, the cash value derived? Jason, go ahead, brother.
Oh, just saying, me too, bro.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You ask questions, right? And that's how you get better. And that's how you serve the general public. You have to go to these things. Now, often, a lot of agents or advisors are not going to show you their behind-the-scenes training, right? I have trainings with MSIM because I have a back end to get into some MSIM training. So that's how I know about things like VPFs, variable prepaid forwards. But again, that is, you're talking shit tons of money when you're talking about Morgan Stanley, right? They're generally dealing with institutional investors. They're probably, you know, obviously they're dealing with accredited investors too. but they're dealing with institutional investors and QIBs, right? They're not dealing with a retail investor at all. And it's important to even understand the type of investor you are when you hear people talking about investing and people don't know what the types of investors are. Let me finish here, because the reason that I'm showing you guys this is I was the only one asking questions. Now, there were a shit ton of advisors here, and I guess they knew it all. And maybe I'm just dumb and don't know shit. But I think it's the opposite. Let's continue. Because I apparently was the only one bold enough to ask questions and risk looking like a fool by not knowing something. But there's so much stuff in just insurance, let alone the investments. Look, you guys, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Series 65 exam manual, right? Look how thick that is. The life insurance exam manual is just as thick. I was talking with a buddy of mine the other day about per stirpes and per capita. He was like, per what? Per stirpes. What the fuck is that? Well, that's something that's literally in the middle of the exam manual, right? I belong. Absolutely. Right? Advisor Hub RIA, because I eventually am going to, once I stop bullshitting and sign up for the test and pass the 65 and get the 65, I'm likely going to start my own RIA. Or I'll likely partner with somebody. I don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? Advice to watch 2026, right? You want to make sure that your financial professional of any sort, whether that's a mortgage broker, a real estate agent, an investment advisor, or insurance agent, is subscribed to publications of their industry. If they're in real estate, you want them to be subscribed to something called The Real Deal, right? This is going to tell us the trends, everything that's happening. So the Schwab thing just happened a couple of days ago. The only reason I know that is because I'm subscribed to a shit ton of Axios, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, a shit ton of shit, right? And I ask a shit ton of questions. So let's continue.
Lynch.
Say again?
That's who it was.
Oh, Merrill Lynch.
Merrill Lynch, who kept raising.
Yeah, you know what's funny? So my mother-in-law worked for Morgan Stanley. That's how I had that little back end with MSIM. In fact, let me see something really quick. MSIM. Morgan Stanley Investment Management. Let's go here. I should be able to sign in. Let's see. Financial advisor. Let me go to my email. MSIM.
Yo,
Yes, sir.
Bitcoin's ripping, you know?
Yeah.
Just another few thousand and I'll be broke even again.
Oh shit. See, so as you can see, I've registered for a lot of Morgan Stanley Investment Management. Now, I didn't make all the courses, right? Tax forward approach and Morgan Stanley Investment Management, Morgan Stanley, right? And you get continuing education credits. Join now, real estate and infrastructure, right? So as you see, login link, email Alonzo Hall 374, right? We look forward to seeing you at the Alternatives Investing Center. So this is why I'm able to have conversations with the hedge wolf. Even though I don't know everything he knows, I'm able to at least understand a baseline and have conversations. Ironically enough, when I talk to money managers out here, right, in like fucking Shelton, Connecticut, these guys, they never think that I'm just an insurance guy. They're like, nah, you're not just an insurance guy. You talk like a fucking money manager. Already registered. I done forgot my login. I'm gonna have to. So these are some of the speakers, right? What is my password for this? Login. I think it's. Let's see. Is that my password? Let's see. Invalid password. Invalid event password. Hold on. Let's see event password. Well, as you can see, I actually did register, which is why it says already registered. But I can't recall my password, which I will figure that out. But again, from Morgan Stanley, like I said, I have an inside. Thank you for registering. Right, welcome to Alternative Investing. Login link, Alonzo Hall. Please use the password you used to create your account. So this was from 2025 to 2026, and this was some of the stuff I was learning. And guess what I did there? I asked a shit ton of questions. Now, let me just check my YouTube. Okay, nobody's speaking, but there are some people watching. I believe there are some people watching from Facebook as well. Now, let's continue. Again, so both of you having experience in financial services, do you think it's an advisor who goes to wholesalers or the TPA, etc., and asks a shit ton of questions? Do you think that that is an advisor who takes their craft seriously? And everyone in the chat, please put a 1 in the chat if you think someone who goes to things like this and goes to things like this and asks a shit ton of questions to the people who are offering the information. Do you think that they take their craft seriously, or do you think they're just in it for the money, or a combination of both? 1, if you think they take it serious. 2, if you think they're just in it for the money. 3, if you think they're serious and they like to make money. So we got some 3s in the chat. So it would behoove you to ask questions of the person that you're asking questions of, right? Ask them, hey, do you have any publications that you in your industry? Are you at the cutting edge? Like I said, when did I get this? This is last month's. Let's see, what is this? This is I'm trying to see if this was last month. So this is June's issue. So I got July somewhere, right? This is June's issue of, and there's my info right there, my home address, etc. I'd like to know what you learned about the alternatives. Dude, they had so much shit. And ironically enough, one of the things they went to, fixed income, was the life insurance, right? So if we go fixed income, right, overview, differentiations, platform, right, emerging debt, investment grade, leverage, multi-sector, munis, securitized, right? Selectivity takes lead, MSIM, quantitative duration study. Thank you for the heart me, broad markets, fixed income, right? So again, let's just see, there's a shit ton of advisors here, and they're probably making good money, but they're not asking questions. Let's see.
Okay.
I guess I do. I don't mean to be the let's go back. Squeak.
Outside of Emeritus, that's a little bit trickier, and we might have to kind of check that out a little bit to see, you know, what needs to be done compliance wise. So my thing is always try and keep it within the record keeper. If you want to do something outside of that, it's usually a case specific need to look at first before we decide we're going to go down that road.
And then I guess the next one, would the contribution limits still be the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank
Nothing
you.
changes with regard to the, and if you have life insurance in the plan, there's limits as to how much the policy can be versus contribution and things like that. But with an annuity, the limits are the limits. Nothing changes with regard to that.
Thank you.
Any other questions anyone had? Okay.
I guess I do. I don't mean to be the squeaky wheel.
That's okay.
But I wonder, in regards to adding the annuities to the 401k, how different from like a 412b3 that would be.
I don't get involved in 4B12.3 plans, so I'm not sure what the.
So notice he said 4. 412B3 plans. So they're 412E3, and 412E3 is actually a different plan now because it used to be. So let's go to excuse me, irs.gov, right? And so you can go to irs.gov and look at this, but it's very convoluted. And it's very difficult to understand. So it used to be 412B, 412-2B, 412I. And so as of 2006 with the PPA, which is the Pension Protection Act, it turned into a 412E3. So I go over that in this live, but I'm not going to do that here. I just want you guys to see. Ask questions. Ask questions of the people who are teaching you. Oh, IUL is a scam. Why? Like, give me an actual why. Oh, because it falls apart. Yes, it does, because most agents don't know what the fuck they're doing. And most clients don't come into it with the capability to actually, for lack of a better term, invest or pour into these. Because insurance is not an investment. I'll say it again. Insurance is not an investment. Isn't it alternative? Yes. Is it something you should use in tandem with your investments? Yes. But we also often always talk about accumulation, but we don't talk about the decumulation phase. So again, when I show you guys these books, right? Like for example, I studied for my CRC, which is Certified Retirement Counselor from INFRE, right? So INFRE, the International Foundation for Retirement Education, right? This is the CRC designation. I paid for this. I did take the exam. There are 5 books. You have to study all 5 books, and they get thinner as you go. Book 1 is stupid thick, 2 is stupid thick, 3 is pretty thick, 4 is thick, and then 5 is super thin, right? Because it's like the Series 63, right? It's smaller. AAMS and CRPC. See? But learning this stuff is going to put you ahead of the game. He said, I knew all to pass the CFP. Yeah, brother, once you get CHFC is above the CFP. Well, technically in curriculum, right? In order to get a CHFC, you got to take all the curriculum of the CFP plus 1 additional course. You take the CFP, then you likely have had the CLU. The CLU, Chartered Life Underwriter, is 3 curriculum courses less than the CFP, Certified Financial Planner. The CFP is 1 curriculum course less than the CHFC, Chartered Financial Consultant. Yeah, well, CFA is, if you want to work at a hedge fund and be a fucking analyst, yeah, but that's more of a support role. But CFA is hella hard. But you want your advisors to ask these questions, right? To the people who sell, because I don't think that people understand, as financial advisors, we get sold to by these companies. They sell us and they give us swag and bunch of bullshit and card holders and t-shirts and all this, glass wipes, etc. to fucking sell you. Hey, go sell your book of business, our shit, right? You don't think MSIM is doing this for no reason, right? You don't think they're letting me register for no reason. No, they want me to bring clients their way. Now, I don't have clients who would really fit for a, this was February 10th of this year, where we learned about real estate and infrastructure, right? And I'm considering, because I want to speak on a topic with my brothers from the Secure the Bag podcast, and I want to see what I can talk to about with them, because I was explaining when they invited me, right? They didn't, there was no hate, right? When I said a hater, they were like, why are you calling yourself a hater? I said, because it gets more attention if I call myself a hater than if I show absolute love to you guys. More people will want to, drive slow past the car accident. Let me check the, here. Okay. So let me continue.
Comparison would be, I'm just in the 401k pre-tax deductible stuff. So I don't know. I mean, it's something where from the retirement plan perspective, from my perspective, it's really just another investment that's in the plan. You know, if it's just like a mutual fund or a stock or something like that, it's just like any other investment in the plan. I know like Emeritus has like a stable value account. Okay. We have some clients that will transfer money into Emeritus, and they'll have money in like a stable value somewhere else, and then there's surrender charges and stuff like that. That's all stuff you got to kind of look at and stuff. But for your question, if it's a straight out annuity, it's treated like any other investment that's in the plan. There's no different. Contribution limits are the same. You can put as much money as you want on there. Nothing really changes with regard to that. I just don't know if Emeritus offers that product. I know they have like stable value and stuff like that, but specific annuities, I don't know. I mean, that's something you'd have to explore with Dom and Anna a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll have to kind of go back and look on that. I don't know if we're referring more towards like guaranteed income.
So one thing I just realized earlier on, the gentleman mentioned that that particular carrier uses TD Ameritrade. FYI, in 2019, TD Ameritrade got sold to Charles Schwab. And then in October 2023, they started changing account numbers. So anybody who has an account with TD Ameritrade, you're now custodied under Charles Schwab.
Bro, let me throw this out here. I'll show my age. I invested in Ameritrade before they merged with TD Waterhouse.
Holy shit. That's crazy. One of my VPs, she used to be one of my VPs here at Emeritus, and we were doing a celebratory dinner. They took me out to Fogo de Chao. They flew out from fucking Nebraska, and they came to Long Island, New York. So I had to drive all the way to Long Island. And it's funny, she was right in front of my principal. She goes, "Hey, Alonzo, you know, we're looking for managers in New York." I'm like, okay. But she was an Ameriprise lady, so it's just funny. But damn, he did Ameritrade before they went with TD, and now TD is fucking Schwab.
I don't have Schwab now, but I think it's funny.
Well, these companies never fold; they just get bought. Like Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, Dean Witter. What did they buy? Lehman Brothers. Fucking, they bought everybody. Because my mother-in-law initially worked at Lehman before 9/11 and before all that 08 shit.
Lehman went tits up.
Yeah.
That shit was crazy.
Bro, let's talk Wall Street talk. Tits up. I fucking love it. Coffee is for closers. And the white coffee is definitely for closers.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely.
Powdered donut.
No powdered donuts. No worries, brother. I'm getting ready to hop off. I got to go visit my grandma. I don't know if you guys heard. Please send prayers and wishes. My grandma is in the hospital right now. She had a little situation, but God will take care of us. So.
Hope everything's all right, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right, y'all take care. Nice to see y'all.
I'm not closing out yet. Jason is taking off. I'm going to close out in a little bit.
Options.
Well,
I know that's something that we're still kind of ironing out as an organization. But Alonzo, we'll go back, Dom and I, to gather some more information on that for you.
thank you. Yeah, I want to be.
And Alonzo, if you have specific like ones, I can always look at it if it's a certain company or something like that you kind of work with in this space. You could say, hey, it's this company, this is what, and shoot me over an email, and I can look into it a little bit further for you.
Well, I'm also looking at because recently rolled out was a lot of PEP or pooled employer plans.
Yep.
You know, and I have some local businesses near me, but they're all small, and you know, the implementing of a 401k can be a heavy burden, both, you know, financial. Holy shit, the AI from TikTok Hedged literally just said AI summary. It says a class on financial planning and retirement strategies. Fucking AI, huh? In-service withdrawals was a great strategy.
Yeah, that was my hell yeah, bread and butter right there.
Yes, sir. So yeah, but I'm asking them questions, and not specifically about 401k audits, but these guys are the guys who handle the pooled employer plans, or the MEPs and the PEPs. MEP is mutual employer plans. So you get several doctors' offices or several restaurants that are small that really can't bear the brunt of offering a 401k.
You need plan by searching their name, and like you can pull up the average account size, the total size, because under the Form 550, they have to report that.
Yes, that's actually a great strategy that was recommended to use if I want to go to places and be like, hey, your account. Actually, I have a client. So he has two companies. He's 100% owner of one and 60% owner of the second one. But his partners had already rolled out a qualified retirement plan for the second company. But the laws in New York, well, they're finally enforcing the law that you have to roll out that qualified retirement plan if you have 5 employees or more. And so we were like, bro, you're going to get in trouble. You got it with one, but you have to have it for both. Because you're the majority owner, you can't not have it for both. Yeah, I get it that the other guys, you paid more money to have a larger ownership equity stake, but because of that, now you got to offer it to this other company. Now the first company has a shit ton of employees, the second company has like 12. So he was like, oh, I don't really want to spend all this money. I was like, well, if you don't spend all this money, the government's going to spank you. So
does he have to, can he offer a simple IRA, or does he have to do a 401k offer?
It has to be a qualified retirement plan, and it depends on a whole bunch of shit. And then each state has their own rules. New York is brutal. Yeah.
Notoriously, yeah, more strict.
Yeah.
I know because basically a simple IRA is pretty solid for your average worker if they have less than 100 employees.
So there he does, but then in the second company, he has about 25 different bands that work for the company. And then he has, his admin, which is about 32 people. But because of those bands that work for the company, it's over 100 employees. And so it's being looked at, because he's majority owner of both companies, that he has to offer the same thing to the smaller company, because the larger company, because of his ownership equity.
Because of the structure, right?
Exactly. So they're like, well, technically it's 2 companies, but since you're the owner of both of them, because 60% is majority owner and 100% is obviously owner, we're looking at it as one entity, and boom. So New York is an asshole. Actually, and administratively, especially for smaller businesses. But if they can pull together, I'm just, looking at new ways to drum up business, right? I'm an ultimate salesman.
Yeah,
Right. No, I get it.
absolutely.
In the PEP, there's definitely a place for it in the industry. That is what, and work with one company to do the whole thing. So, Emeritus they have a very good PEP program where they do the administration and the investments and everything. And in that situation, I've seen it before where it just I've recommended people to do PEPs, and I don't deal in that space. But there's nothing wrong with that, with going down there with these small businesses and stuff. You're just, you're giving up plan design and plan eligibility and things like that. You're going into a certain program and you can't really do things out of the box, but there's definitely a space in the industry for it. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, Alonzo, I'll happily follow up with some more information about our pooled employer opportunities here at Emeritus as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, he might throw me some.
And then Anna, can you just flip to the last slide because it has my contact information?
Hold on, say that again, brother. That's hilarious.
That woman was like, oh shit, he might throw us some business. Let me reach out.
Absolutely. So, we'll get you that information immediately. So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, we as the financial professionals are trying to sell you, especially on the independent side, but even on the career side, because we use this term captive, but people who are at these IMOs are actually captive to the IMO, even though they offer a multitude. And when we're talking about life insurance, technically there's no such thing as a broker. Because, and this is where the fiduciary standard, I think, deviates, because we do look out for your best interest, but once we submit that application to the carrier, it's technically in your best interest, but it's out of our hands. And so that's why they say, you know, insurance agents aren't fiduciaries. But we sell annuities and shit too. And trust me, you know, we're on the hook for 13 months on the life insurance side. If you buy a life policy, I got to make sure that it's something you can afford for 13 months or I get a charge back. Your investment advisor doesn't get that. Yeah, they might lose that AUM ongoing, but they're not going to, the carrier, the company's not going to claw back anything.
Yeah, I would get called back for sure.
Oh, you do?
So the insurance policy.
Oh,
yeah.
and no, but I mean,
Just like you.
an investment product, right?
Well, most investment products, for example, like an annuity or whatever, if the client gets out of it early, they're going to be the one paying the CDSC.
Okay. So again, like Hedge said though, this shit here, they're like, oh shit, he's gonna throw me some business. Possibly. Let me make sure to get him this information, because they have to stay in front of our face constantly to make sure that we stay in front of your face constantly to make sure that we sell you their product. Let's continue, and then I'll close out in a second.
In there.
Yes.
But I also,
absolutely.
as I said before, I reached out to everybody on LinkedIn, so you have my contact information that way if you want to connect. You know, and if any questions come up, just.
So that's the end of that. Let me just check my email really quick so I can reset my password and go on to WinFlex. Just because I mainly the carrier I show the most is Emeritus. But I do write for other carriers. Okay, no thanks. User profile. Let's update the password. I forgot how to do my password.
Just so you know, advisors go for 401k plans so that they can go after the independent wealthy people at the top of the plan.
That makes sense. So this is a dinosaur in our industry in terms of illustration software. Are you familiar with WinFlex, Hedge?
Not at all.
So if you've ever heard of Chris Kirkpatrick, he's a whole life guy. He's not a fan of IULs. Apparently he used to do some of the, I guess, creating of it. It is what it is. But so WinFlex is a fucking dinosaur in our industry. So I can request, obviously I already use Emeritus. I already use Assurity. I already use, well, I don't already use Allianz. But I use Mass Mutual already.
Basically what I would do, bro, is I would just say, I want this illustration ran, and then I would send the information to somebody, and they would run the numbers and send me the illustration.
So I actually run the illustrations. So these are the carriers that I have on my WinFlex: Security Mutual, Nationwide, and Prudential. Now, these are outside of the firm that I'm with, outside of CG Wealth Solutions. These are relationships that I have completely on my own. So these are all street level. I was going to go to Prudential because they were offering like website and leads. But then they were telling me that the commission was going to be 80%. And I was like, oh, cool. Well, that's already where my contract is. And, you know, we hear all these numbers and shit, but I'm a managing associate. And I have to interview people because I have to deem what contract level I'm giving them, right? And what happens often is a lot of these guys don't do the numbers that they exclaim. For example, one of the things I have to do is ask if you've made $35,000 or more selling just life insurance or annuities in the last year. And if so, then you get a separate contract. Right? You can actually get some money up front. So that's a pretty low barometer, right? Because a lot of insurance agents don't make as much money. All these guys, I make $30,000 a month and da-da-da-da-da-da. My guys are doing 100 grand a month. They're doing that because they're on the top of a pyramid, and they got 5 guys who made a fucking $1,000, and they made $100 out of that. Or they got 1,000 guys who made $1,000, and they make $100 off of 1,000 guys. It's 10 grand right there for them, right? And that's how they're making their money. They're not making their money by producing. So they offered me 80% commission, but it was based on GDC, and GDC is 50% of target commission. So I'd get 80% of 50%, when as of now, I get a minimum of 70% target premium. So it made no sense for me to make that change. And they didn't want me to get the 7. They were like, well, you've made more than 35,000 selling just life insurance and annuities, so you don't have to come and get the Series 7 and 66. If you decide you can get the 6 and 63. And then I signed some paperwork with LPL. Let me see if I can find that here. LPL. So LPL client work, look. Client works and login information for Alonzo Hall. What does that say? LPL. Dear Alonzo, get started with Client Works and, if applicable, the onboarding portal. So I have a relationship with LPL too, right? Because you can actually do insurance only with LPL. Most people don't know that. Right? What's up to my Facebook crew? Right? So I just wanted to show a little bit of that. I'm going to get ready to close out. It's almost 11:30. I'm going to go ahead and check on my grandma. Any closing remarks, brother?
No, it's good to see you.
Awesome. Thank you for...
Grandma gets better.
I definitely hope so. Thank you for the well wishes. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, the insurance junkie, your fiduciary fella, the all-star advisor, Alonzo Hall, your social media insurance pro and registered financial consultant. And I just whapped and tapped on your head with another ADH Wealth Solution. Make sure to hit that like, drop a comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're made aware every time I release new content. And as always, share, share, share. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, wipe ass. Work in progress every day and see success. Wipe ass. Work in progress every day and see success. Wipe ass. Work in progress every day and see success. And remember, folks, when people challenge you, they don't challenge you to challenge you, but they challenge you to challenge you. Accept the challenge. Salute. All right. Close out, y'all. Thank y'all for coming. We'll be doing more of these. All right, Facebook. I'm going to go ahead and close out. Thank you for whoever came through. Like I said, class was in session. I was live streaming to here, Facebook, and YouTube and TikTok simultaneously. I think I'm going to start doing that. Look out for my men's The Secure the Bag podcast. I hated on them so much that they approached me and they were like, oh, well, if you're going to be a hater, then come up here and be greater. See, they didn't come at me on sideways. They came at me and said, listen, you want to hate, then come up here and be up here with us so you can hate on yourself. We're not going to let you hate in the sidelines. How you hating outside of the club? You can't even get in. Let me let you in the club so you can hate on us in the club. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, wipe ass, work in progress every day and see success. And when people challenge you, they don't challenge you to challenge you, but they challenge you to challenge you. Accept